Hey, we welcome you on into another episode of the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. It's Mitch Spinell alongside Mitchell Valley here to give you the latest of what's going on in the sporting world. Mitch, it's good to be back here for the last episode of this week. Man, we have stuff to talk about. We have regional play in softball coming up, district play in baseball ensuing, and a number of things going on at the collegiate and professional levels.
Mitch, I am so fired up to be here today because we're talking postseason softball, postseason baseball, Major League Baseball, getting close to the NBA Finals. There's so much to talk about. I'm so excited today.
Absolutely. We'll get into that very soon. But before we do that, we want to remind you guys that you can follow the podcast not only here on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. You can also go to BigTimeSportsOhio.com. You can find our latest game broadcasts, videos, and articles there. And check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Big Time Sports Ohio, or on Twitter at BTS Ohio, or at Mitch Spinell and at Mitch Abala, pretty much everywhere else. Mitch, we could start off probably with the softball slate this week because we had a number of games rounding out the district play in the East District for myself mostly, and you have a lot of the Northeast games there, especially in the Division I brackets. I mean, right now things are getting very interesting. I want to start off on your side because last night saw a pitcher's duel in Massillon, and it was one that kind of ended in an unexpected way to where the 9th-seeded Hoover Vikings are advancing to the regional tournament in a 1-0 final over Jackson. I mean, take us through that one.
Mitch, it is their 12th district title since 2006. It's all about experience and what team is playing the best at the right time. I know I'm beating a dead horse here when I keep saying that, but this just goes to prove you that a team that was in the state Final Four last year, although they graduated a lot of players and a number of them went on to play collegiately, and a couple of them actually, side note, at Mount Union, who also just won their first conference tournament championship since 2013, a number of Hoover girls from last year's Final Four team up at Mount. So you had some shoes to fill for Hoover this year, and it didn't start off the right way. But at the same time, what you had is a steady hand to lead the Vikings, and they were seeded 9th. The deck was stacked against them, Mitch. They had to host Kent Roosevelt. They beat them 17-0. They had to go to Chardon for a sectional championship. They came back to beat Chardon 10-8. They played Archbishop Hoban. That game went into extra innings. They won 5-3. And then they played Jackson, who had beat them twice this year already. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, Mitch. And yesterday at Massillon was a straight-up pitcher's duel as hits were at a premium, obviously runs at a premium, only 1 run scored in the game, and it went Hoover's way, a 1-0 win over Jackson. And they found a way to overcome it. It is their 3rd consecutive district title. And their head coach, Jerry Goodpasture, Mitch, is a huge reason why they've been so dominant. They may not have had the Federal League success that we are so accustomed to here at Hoover when it comes to the softball team, but 3 years in a row now they've won the district. They are becoming an absolute foe that nobody wants to see at this time of the year. And for Jackson, it was a phenomenal season under their first-year head coach. Unfortunately, now you have to say goodbye to your best player in Julia Gossett, who is on her way to Purdue now to play collegiately. But this team also had a number of freshmen and sophomores on the varsity roster, Mitch. This is a team that should hopefully be able to take this experience and learn from it and come back next year stronger. But Hoover, what can you say? This is a team that has shown you they are a team that turns it on late, and I would not want to face this team. And now they're just 2 wins away from going back to states, Mitch. Their next opponent is not going to be easy. They'll take on Walsh Jesuit, who won their district yesterday over the Perry Panthers. Earlier this week over the Green softball team, 7-1. And I had mentioned just now, Jackson beat Hoover twice this year. They were going for the 3rd time. Green had already beaten Perry twice this year, going for a 3rd time. And Perry came out, beat them, but they fall yesterday to Walsh Jesuit, Mitch, who might be all around one of the top 3 or 4 softball teams in the state of Ohio right now. They actually end up beating Perry 12-2. And so next week, Walsh Jesuit and Hoover will square off in matchup. And that'll be very entertaining. The other side of the bracket, no Stark County teams or teams around the area there, but Fitch, who was the #1 overall seed here in Northeast Ohio, did win their district 2-0 over Menor yesterday. So Fitch will be on the other side of the regional bracket. So the winner of Walsh, Jesuit, and Hoover could potentially play Fitch if Fitch gets past their first round. But crazy games yesterday in softball, Mitch, and this is a great time. And this is some of the best softball you can find, and the talent is
No, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned that performance by Gossett, who struck out 8 of her first 10 batters of the game. However, it was Delaney Shannon, who we've mentioned many times here at Big Time this season as a standout for the Viking softball squad. She had 3 hits yesterday, including a leadoff triple in the top of the 4th inning that eventually led to the Vikings scoring on an error that would lead to the game's only run.
And I want to make sure we touched on Gossett, but Summer McCaw
Yes.
deserves recognition too for Hoover, Mitch, because she is a sophomore pitching in a huge spot, trying to keep the season alive for some of these seniors. And she struck out 12 and threw a 4-hit shutout yesterday in a district championship game. And she now has 2 more years to do that in Federal League play and try to keep things going here. And so Summer McCaw deserves a lot of recognition as well.
She also escaped a 2 runners on situation in the bottom of the 7th inning, which could have gotten very sticky in a close game like that. But congratulations to the Vikings there. I mean, you mentioned the Vikings able to get out of that out of district play unscathed. On my side, we have 2 teams left from the area still competing for the regional championships this coming week. Yesterday, we saw in Big Time Sports Strasburg take on Conotton Valley over at Tuscarora Central Catholic High School. It was number 1 versus number 2 in the East District Division 4, and the Tigers were able to scratch together a couple of early runs, kind of like your game, Mitch, to beat the Rockets 2-0. And also like your game, Mitch, Amelia Spidell had a very solid performance, only allowing 3 hits and 1 walk while striking out 7 in the game. She had to overcome runners on first and second in the top of the 7th inning after a couple of errors with 2 outs. Could have gotten very tricky for the Tigers to close out that game, but they ended up getting it done on a strikeout. Spidell also drove in the first run of the game for the Tigers with a 3rd inning double off of Rocket starter Maisie Baker that scored Audrey Allensworth. A couple batters later, the Tigers got another run on a ground ball that was hit to shortstop that was kind of kicked away, and you had a runner scoring from second. The Rockets unfortunately had 3 errors for the game, as Strasburg only had 4 hits, but Conotton Valley had 3, and none of those hits for Conotton Valley led to any scores. So the Tigers will advance to the regional semifinals, where they'll play the winner of Manchester and Sims Valley on Wednesday, May 24th. I believe that game that I just mentioned, Manchester and Sims Valley, will not be played until Saturday. So we will not see who the Tigers will be playing until then. But whoever wins that one will play on Wednesday, May 24th at Pickerington High School Central, the usual location for the East or the winner of the East District to go play in regionals. We also had yesterday Mia Rose's 12 strikeouts, getting Indian Valley to the Division 2 regionals as they won the East District title 3-0 over Dover over in Bowerston at Conotton Valley High School. Rose threw a complete game shutout, allowing 4 hits, no walks, as the Braves are now 22-4 on the season, and they'll face off between the winner of Hillsborough and Chillicothe Unioto for the Division 2 regional semifinal. Same day, Wednesday, May 24th, 5 p.m. start at Philo High School. So congratulations to Indian Valley in that respect. I mean, any other winners that we should be mentioning here on the softball side of it? Because I know there's probably a couple ones that we could be shouting out.
Locally, Mitch, it's tough this time of the year because ever since they've went their way with the super districts and teams picking out, it's hard to figure out which teams are where. So I'm sure there are some throughout other divisions, but none that I have here right in front of me. I know Marlington's softball team was in action here recently, but in terms of scores I have right in front of me, none. But I can tell you confidently that Marlington softball did win huge inning, and Sophia Nace's pitching that led them to a district championship. So Marlington softball still alive. They are moving on to the district championship. Opponents still to be determined. But Mitch, we know a lot about the baseball and what's going on here. Some teams have already crowned regional or sectional champions, and others we're waiting to see who.
We'll get to them in just a little bit. One team that I do want to mention is Steubenville, who ended up winning a 2-1 final over 2C John Glenn yesterday. So the Big Red win the Division 2 East 1 bracket, as the Braves won the East 2 bracket, as there's 2 East divisions in Division 2, Region 7, which will go to Philo. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about some of those baseball scores. We had a couple of walk-off performances and a number of teams still competing for the state title. Stay with us. Hey there, folks. This is Mitch Spinell, and I want to give you guys a quick message regarding 988. If you don't know what 988 is, it was created to make it easier to remember how to get help in the event of a mental health or addiction crisis. This is different than a medical, fire, or police emergency where 911 should still be called immediately. 988 connects you with Stark County's Crisis Center, which is equipped to help people in emotional distress or experiencing a mental health or addiction crisis. So remember, 911 for medical, fire, and police emergency help, and 988 for support in overcoming a mental health crisis in Stark County.
Buying a home has never been so affordable with record low interest rates. Hartzler's Quality Housing is ready to put over 40 years of experience to work for you. Family owned and operated since 1978, Hartzler's has a wide selection of model homes on site with a knowledgeable team to help make your new home a reality. Open 6 days a week. Visit them off I-77 in Dover or online at hartzlers.com. Hartzler's Quality Housing. Quality from start to finish.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, think Ferris.
You invest a lot in your home and vehicle purchases. Van Nostrand Young and Associates want you to feel secure should anything happen to those investments. We partnered with providers like Grange Insurance and other industry leaders to be sure you're presented with the most complete coverage to fit your needs. Because we're not only here to protect the items you invest in, we're here to protect your future as well.
Call Van Nostrand Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-497-1867.
We all have 206 things in common. Our bones keep us up and moving. And we at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital care about every single one of them. From the tip of your finger to a brand new hip, our orthopedic experts will keep you going while keeping you safe. For every break and breakthrough, for every bone and joint, for every care in the world. Get the care you need when and where you need it. Visit unionhospital.org.
Wendy's without the Wendy's app is like Nugs without the sauce. Or a Frosty without the fries. Or a hamburger without the fresh beef. No! Level low. Get the app to order ahead, order delivery, earn free food, and get app-exclusive offers. One app, all the Wendy's.
Offer for a limited time at participating Wendy's. Terms apply. App registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Vive Auto Sales, located on West High Avenue in New Philadelphia and Cleveland Avenue in Canton, is a used car dealership committed to getting financing for everyone. We give every customer that walks in our showrooms a prime buying experience, no matter their credit score or financial situation. Current inventory can be viewed at www.wefinancenow.com. Check out our Facebook pages for the most up-to-date information about upcoming events and promotions happening at Vive Auto Sales.
Get out of the dugout and onto the field with help from Velocity Sports. Velocity Sports is a baseball and softball training academy with locations in North Canton and Canal Fulton. Our new Canal Fulton features 10,000 square feet of training space with 6 cages for hitting and pitching and a large commercial weight room. Velocity Sports will sharpen your skills and get you in the starting lineup. For more info, go to velosportsohio.com.
And we're back here on the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Mitch Spinell alongside Mitchell Ballard. Mitch, we now go over to the baseball side as we had a number of teams competing in the district tournament this week, or the sectional tournament this week, heading to the district tournament. A number of games on my side, number of games on your side. I'll start off on mine here. We have a number of IVC squads getting out of the sectionals, including Conotton Valley and Strasburg, both who ended up winning on walk-off performances yesterday. The Rockets were able to win 11-1 against Frontier in a mercy ruling, while Strasburg took 10 innings to beat Monroe Central 3-2. Drake Reifenschneider not only relieved Mason Wagner after 9 innings of work with a scoreless 10th inning, but Reifenschneider roped the single that led to Strasburg getting the victory. Strasburg will move on to face off in the district tournament this coming week on Wednesday or next Monday, I believe. Now, some other squads that are in the mix include Highland, who beat Rosecrans 13-0. The Hawks are the 1 seed in the Division 4 bracket, while Buckeye Trail was able to win 8-3 over Bel Air. The Warriors having a very solid season still. And Garaway was able to win 10-0. The 3rd-seeded Pirates won over Barnesville. So those teams will go on to face off in the districts, while we have one game today. East Canton, the 2 seed in Division 4, will take on 4 seed McDonald. So a number of squads still in the mix. So we should mention on Tuesday, some of the teams that did not play on Wednesday. Indian Valley was able to win 4-1 over East Liverpool. So the Braves still in the mix as well. Mitch, what's going on over in Stark County? Well, like, what sort of teams are we still seeing in the mix?
So, Mitch, what I'm going to do here is we're going to talk about the brackets that the districts are set, and then we'll roll back around to some of the sectional championship games we have here tonight, including the Big Time Sports Game of the Week, but we'll get to that here in a second. Mitch, in Northeast District 2, that is the Louisville District, we had 3 local teams here in and around Stark County in this district, and a possible way for them to meet in the district semis and a rematch with another league team in the district final. But the district semifinal rematch between Alliance and Marlington is no more. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, Mitch, yesterday went to Alliance and upset the Aviators 9-1. So Alliance, who had a phenomenal season, they finished the season at 19-7 overall. They won the EBC, and they fall yesterday at home to Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, Mitch. They had a couple players here. I have some of the numbers in front of me. Obviously, we're not familiar with NDCL, but I have last names. So Spedic, 2 triples, double, a single, and 3 RBIs. And Dietrich for NDCL had 3 hits, and O'Neill had 3 hits. So it looked like really a 3-man wrecking crew in the middle of that lineup for NDCL when it comes to hits. NDCL had 9 runs on 14 hits. Alliance just 1 run on 3 hits. That run came in the second when they were down 3-0. Alliance had 3 errors, Mitch. And at this point of the season, it doesn't matter the records, but teams will capitalize off free passes, whether it's on walks or errors. And Alliance yesterday just unfortunately couldn't find it. So their season is over. NDCL advances to the district semifinals at Louisville, where they will be taking on Marlington. Marlington, a 10-0 winner yesterday over Madison. It was all Marlington. And so they might not be playing Alliance, but at the same time, that could be good. But from what we saw yesterday against Alliance, Marlington cannot underestimate NDCL. Now they have Tommy Skedling, who's one of the top players in the entire state of Ohio, Mitch. He will more than likely be throwing on Tuesdays, so that would bode well for Marlington. On the bottom side of that bracket, Hubbard defeated Struthers 3-2. Hubbard now will play West Branch, who defeated Salem 5-1 yesterday. So West Branch still alive in that very district. There's a chance we get Marlington West Branch in the district championship, but those games are next Tuesday at 2 and 5 respectively at Louisville High School in the district semis. Some more, or actually, we won't even talk about another bracket because there are no local teams there anymore. The only local team in action was Northwest. They were beaten 3-0 by Mentor Lake Catholic. So that will do it for that. And Northeast District 4, Division 3, Canton Central Catholic 11, Mableton 1. The Crusaders of Canton Central Catholic will advance to take on Triway, who beat Fairless 14-0 in their sectional championship game, Mitch. Manchester Independence on the other side of that bracket there for Division 3. So the districts and matchups are set for those. We have a ways to go, though, in Division 1, Mitch, and things get very interesting here starting tonight. We had a phenomenal game earlier this week, Green and Perry matching up for the 3rd time this year. And what was kind of odd is you had Green and Perry softball play the night before. Their baseball teams played each other then the next night. And remember that because there's 2 other schools that are doing the same here today. Green ends up walking off on Perry 3-2 in 9 innings. They trailed 2-0 heading to the bottom of the 7th. Green gets 2 back. Henry Zwisler, after a Brady Rollison triple to lead off the 9th inning, drives in Rollison. So Green is a 3-2 winner there, and they will advance to take on Stowe tonight at 5 o'clock. That is all the area action in the Northeast District 2 bracket for Division 1. So when we look back to Division 1 now, Glen Oak in action tonight at Glen Oak. They will host Nordonia, who beat Boardman 4-0. Lake defeated Willoughby South 8-4 on Tuesday night. They will travel to Louisville tonight to take on the Leopards. The winner of that matchup will advance to the district semifinals. We could see a Lake and Glen Oak matchup, Mitch, and what would make that interesting is those two teams still have 2 more regular season games to play against each other, including one coming up this Saturday, weather permitting. Now, obviously, they both have to win this game to keep their postseason hopes alive, but that could kind of throw a wrench into things because Glen Oak has a lot to get a share of the Federal League crown after win over Jackson this past weekend. But to potentially play a team before you have to play them in the tournament would be very odd. We'll have to see what happens there. But Glen Oak and Lake both in action tonight. Lake at Louisville. That is interesting. Northeast District 3, Division 1, the Canton District. McKinley defeated John F. Kennedy of Cleveland 12-0. They will travel all the way to Chardon tonight, Mitch, to take on the reigning Division 2 state champions, the Hilltoppers. McKinley had a really nice win on Tuesday night in which they didn't really even use their normal starters that we're accustomed to seeing. It almost was a bullpen-ish game. Andrew Favre, one of the members on the mound, and McKinley throws a combined no-hitter and a 12-0 win in 5 innings. So they'll take on a tough Hilltoppers team tonight. Akron Ellett, bottom side of that bracket, will take on Hoban. The 2 backyard rivals going at it. We'll see how that shakes out tonight. Your big-time sports game of the week, tonight at Massillon. The Tigers host Dover. 5 o'clock live stream, bigtimesportsohio.com or the local broadcast network app. Make sure to tune in because that game will be fun. Those 2 teams, Mitch, just played each other last week, and now it's winner go home time for both sides. And we talked about Jackson Hoover softball. Yesterday, it was Hoover. Tonight, Mitch, we get round 3 between Jackson and Hoover baseball. Jackson beat Hoover earlier in the season at Hoover 7-3. Hoover beat Jackson then the next night 8-0 at Jackson. All of that is out the window. Hoover, one of the hottest teams in the area, coming off a 22-0 win over Euclid in their first game Tuesday night at Hoover. And Mitch, it looks like Hoover has all their top arms available. We know Jackson will have all their top arms available, getting a first-round bye. What a game this could be. I expect it to be absolutely packed on what is going to be a beautiful night in Northeast Ohio. And this is what is the best part about postseason baseball, is because it's high intensity already. Now you throw in, it's your biggest rival. What can be better than this, Mitch? This is going to be a blast tonight, and I can't wait to see who the winner of Jackson Hoover will be playing between the winner of Massillon and Dover on Tuesday at Munson Memorial Stadium at 2 o'clock.
It doesn't feel like a 1 versus 21 matchup. I mean, Hoover's played them very closely this year. We could see something special here tonight. You mentioned a no-hitter earlier. I also want to shout out the other non-IVC area team that's advancing to in the Division 2 bracket. New Philadelphia had an 11-0 win over Philo on Tuesday, in which Carter Vandal went the full 6 innings, throwing a perfect game, a number of standout hitting performances for the Quakers as well. So Philly will move on as a 6th seed. They'll take on 4 seed St. Clairsville, who won 6-0 over Buckeye Local on Tuesday. So we have that matchup for actually this coming Monday at 5 p.m. That game will be played at Steubenville's Crimson Complex. And then the winner of that game will take on the winner of Tri-Valley, either the 2 seed or John Glenn, a 13 seed after the Muskies upset Indian Creek 5-2 this past week. Now, when we come back, we'll be going over some more stuff in the sports world, including one baseball team that's gotten off to a rough start, has continued that rough start, and maybe keeping on with that rough start. Stay with us.
The Furby Electric Supply Company has bright ideas for your home. Save money by converting to energy-efficient electrical products or add ambiance with beautiful lighting features. It begins with a professional consultation and a visit to the Furby Lighting Showroom. Then certified Furby contractors complete your project right and on time. Since 1934, 4 generations have built a reputation of quality and trust, and they offer emergency services too. Just visit Furby.com. That's F-U-R-B-A-Y. The Furby Electric Supply Company.
You asked for it and we listened. Buckeye Career Center is now offering Certified Nail Technician as an adult education program. This 216-hour course begins in November and will run Tuesday through Thursday evenings from 5 to 9 p.m. Learn manicures, pedicures, infection control, salon operations, and more. Other part-time certification courses starting this fall include phlebotomy and welding. Call 330-339-2288 to register or visit BuckeyeCareerCenter.org for more information.
If you're looking for a new or pre-owned car or truck, why not see the Parkway Auto Group? Parkway is a special group of automotive experts with 8 brands to satisfy your needs. Come see the difference at the Parkway Auto Group on Commercial Parkway in Dover. 8 brands and 1 family. It's Parkway Auto Group.
Fall is in the air and part-time career enhancement courses at Buckeye Career Center are on the horizon. Registration is now open for Introduction to Beekeeping, Basic Small Engine Repair, and Sign Language. These part-time offerings run on Tuesday evenings and begin in November. Let Buckeye Career Center help you learn a new skill or advance your current skill set. Call 330-339-2288 for more information or to reserve your seat in one of these or our other part-time classes.
You matter. Everyone plays a part. We all have a role. Each of us can make a difference. You do matter, and the best way to have a positive impact is to pay it forward. With each of us helping one another to cope, feel better, and know that we belong. Pass on the positivity today. Tell someone else they matter too. Alt Care.
Alt Care, Alt Care. Where you matter.
We all have 206 things in common. Our bones keep us up and moving. And we at Cleveland Clinic Union Hospital care about every single one of them. From the tip of your finger to a brand new hip, our orthopedic experts will keep you going while keeping you safe. For every break and breakthrough, for every bone and joint, for every care in the world. Get the care you need when and where you need it. Visit unionhospital.org.
Employee benefits, although time-consuming and expensive, is one of the top considerations for those making a job change. At Hummel Group, we help businesses craft benefit strategies that align with company goals. Through an emphasis on cost containment, leveraging technology, and benefits administration, we save your team valuable time. Your employees call us with questions, not you. Visit HummelHelps.com or call 800-860-1060. Don't just get insurance. Get Hummel.
And we're back here on the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Mitch Spinell, Mitchell Balla. Mitch, I'm going to pull it up here. That just about sums it up after what we've seen the past week here. It's not a great time to be a Cleveland baseball fan right now. Even with the team being in second place still, I want to say, in the American League Central. And, who knows what's going to happen with the Twins there. This team doesn't feel great compared to last season. This team does not feel like it. No, excuse me. They're third place now in the American League Central after last night. Oh, my Lord. The Detroit Tigers are ahead of us in the standings. That's awesome. Look, the White Sox have owned us the last 2 games. For some reason, Gavin Sheets and Jake Berger have owned us the last 2 games for whatever reason. I'm wearing a White Sox hat right now. The pitching's kind of let us down the last 2 games, and the hitting especially is just nowhere near where your average major league club needs to be, let alone this squad. It's getting disappointing.
Disappointing is being very, very nice, Mitch. This team, look, Shane Bieber had a bad start the other night. It happens, right? I mean, Garrett Cole a couple weeks ago, who really, Mitch, is already the clear-cut favorite for the American League Cy Young Award, got roughed up in Tampa. It happens. It's baseball. Starters get roughed up every once in a while. And Bieber had really, Mitch, for the most part, although the win-loss wasn't there, and it happens. So I'm not going to overreact there. Peyton Battenfield, I thought, for the most part last night starting out, Mitch, started off well. I mean, heck, he finally got a run. His last 4 starts, the combined run total for Peyton Battenfield as the starting pitcher was not 3, not 2, not 1, but 0. So for everybody out there that says, oh, Peyton Battenfield's not good, his win-loss record isn't good. If your pitcher is giving up 1 or 2 runs in Major League Baseball, that's actually not bad. When your offense cannot help you whatsoever, that's a problem. And this offense is obviously Jose Ramirez is not with the team right now as he is on the bereavement list. Hopefully everything is okay on that side and he is with his family and just getting himself in the right spot. This lineup without Jose Ramirez, Mitch, is downright dreadful. Josh Naylor the other night in that game that the Guardians lost the first game stretch, they got the runner, but then he came up hobbling. Posted for the afternoon game today. He's not in the lineup again. Hopefully it is nothing major, because if you lose Jose Ramirez, who's your overall best player, and you lose Captain Clutch, as we've seen over the past week in Josh Naylor, this offense isn't going to do anything, especially when you're hitting with, I'll be nice today, 8 guys in your starting 9 because your catchers can't hit.
No.
Don't believe me, folks? Please go look what the catchers for the Guardians are doing in the month of May. Please, I ask you to do that because I really don't want to talk about it, but yet I'm probably going to have to talk about it anyway, Mitch, because starting catchers, because David Fry, had to put a wrinkle into things last night as he got a hit as a sub in the catching position. Our starting catchers have no hits in the month of May. There is a better chance with the trajectory they're on right now for the season, and this is a fact that I saw last night, that Mike Zunino could get struck by lightning in the month of May than what he's done offensively at the plate. And Mitch, we went through this last year when we finally started this podcast up for Big Time Sports. Austin Hedges was not good offensively. Luke Maile was not good offensively. We knew that. Miles Straw struggled last year. He's definitely playing better, as I kind of thought he would, because last year, looking at his other career or other years in his career, was just way below his average. What I would do for Austin Hedges back in this lineup right now, because not only can our catchers not hit, our catchers can't field. Mike Zunino has more catcher interferences in the last week than he does hits since April 29th. Newsflash, that's not good. Not only is the defense horrible, Cam Gallagher apparently loves to throw the ball back to the mound so much that when there's a runner that steals, he likes to spike it off the mound. Mike Zunino the other night, Mitch, in the inning that Bieber got roughed up in, literally was the reason Bieber had to keep going, because the interference was on a would-be strike 3 call, foul tip, next pitch, but the hitter got rewarded, and then that's when Bieber fell apart. Our catchers are worthless. They are literally worthless right now. They are not helping defensively. They cannot help the run game, and yes, part of that is on the pitching and being able to hold it. And listen, with the new rule this year, 3 throws over or it's considered a balk. I get it. They are worthless. You might as well have a pitch back that you have in your backyard behind home plate right now, because at least when you throw a pitch there, it would bounce right back to the pitcher and not trickle away. And maybe if you throw it hard enough, if it's Clase, it'll bounce from there all the way to second base if someone tries to steal. I don't know. Bo Naylor, where I tried, Mitch, to give Zunino and Gallagher somewhat of a benefit of the doubt. What I will tell people right now is when Bo Naylor is called up, he is not going to be the defensive catchers we are accustomed to in Cleveland over the past number of years. And Roberto Perez, Yan Gomes, even Luke Maile was serviceable defensively, in Austin Hedges. At one point a couple weeks ago, folks, Bo Naylor was 2 for 31 in Columbus, throwing out would-be base stealers. Part of that, again, on the pitching. But, Mitch, you know what the difference is? Bo Naylor's hitting 279 in Columbus. Bo Naylor, it seems like every other night, is 2 for 4 with a home run, a double, and 3 RBIs in Columbus, while our catchers might as well go up to the plate without a bat. It's pathetic, and the only reason I can think of that Bo Naylor's not up here yet is there's 17 more days till the deadline on the word is escaping my mind for arbitration. That means that the arbitration year would be pushed back another year once Bo Naylor's up in the majors, which we know the Guardians love to do that, as well other teams in Major League. It's not just the Guardians. That, Mitch, to me, has to be the only reason Bo Naylor's not up here. And to me, that's still not a good enough reason, because what we are seeing right now from a team that we had high hopes and expectations for is embarrassing. The Tigers are playing well, give them credit. The Twins obviously look like the best team in the division. There's no doubt about that. The White Sox were left for dead a week ago, Mitch. Their fans were booing them off the field. Their own player was saying, I hate it here. I hate these fans. What he said, it was one of those two. We'll never know. Made the White Sox look. And I'm not sure what to expect. I can tell you, I don't expect the Guardians to score very many runs, no matter who's on the mound. And the chef's kiss was Mike Clevenger shut you down last night. Mike Clevenger, the guy we got rid of, he dominated you last night. And it's embarrassing, pathetic. And I wanted to say this road trip's great because the White Sox suck. We go to New York and play the Mets, who are reeling right now. You're out of way just to go 300 or 500 on this road trip. And I don't know if they can. I really don't.
I mean, Clevenger entered last night's game with an earned run average of, what was it? It's 4.56 right now. It must have been a little below that because it was just not a great night last night. And I'm looking at the numbers here. We have scored, what is it? Almost 40, almost 30 less runs than the Oakland A's have. And now, granted, the Oakland A's pitching is terrible, but we're at 147 right now. They're at 173. That is by far the lowest scoring total in Major League Baseball. And when I hear Bo Naylor get called up, like, yeah, he could provide something to your offense. Maybe not necessarily defensively. He was like, what, 5 for 43 on runners stealing attempts this year compared to Zunino's 5 for 29. But
it's the updated one there. Okay, good. I'm glad you had that.
I don't know, man. It's Bo Naylor's not going to turn this team around completely by himself, but
no,
it could be something. It's for something different, possibly. You kind of saw that with Rocchio last night. Brian Rocchio made his Major League debut, got a single, made a key error that led to an RBI. It's a whole thing, but at the same time, maybe there does need to be some change because we're holding on to some guys that I'm like, are we still going with this? I mean, Amed Rosario last night was still in the lineup as a designated hitter because Terry Francona said he wanted to get him off his feet, but still keep his bat. Why you still wouldn't want to keep that bat, it doesn't make sense because it was 0 for 5.
And there's certain players, Mitch, that need a wake-up call, but unfortunately there's some players that you cannot give a wake-up call to, whether it's just optioning them down to Columbus or sitting them because of the money they're owed. But it's crazy because in baseball, we know one player does not win or lose you a game 9 times out of 10, unless it's Shohei Ohtani who pitches and hits. It's now. This team without Jose Ramirez, though, Mitch, looks like a very bad baseball team. And to me, this isn't me campaigning he should be MVP because honestly, he has had a pretty rough start to the season compared to where he's usually at. But to take a bat like that out, Mitch, you now realize you don't have a true number 3 hitter because Josh Naylor was in there on, what was it, Tuesday? He's not a 3 hitter. Andres Jimenez was in there last night. He didn't have a hit. He's in there again today. Starting in the infield. And that's just the truth. I know Jimenez now is second base, but he was brought up as a shortstop. Rosario brought up as a shortstop. Rocchio's at third base today. That's a shortstop. And Gabriel Arias is at first base, and that's a shortstop. I get the Guardians having all this depth. I get you need to see what you have in front of you. But eventually, Mitch, there has to be a fine line of this guy cannot get the job done. And meanwhile, Oscar Gonzalez, they sent him down to get better. And Mitch, he was tearing it up in Columbus. I haven't watched in the past few days, but when he got sent down there, he was tearing it up.
Sure.
Guys need to be sent down too. I was on the fence with Will Brennan. He's kind of had a here and there. Last night, he almost puts one out early in that game, had another base hit later, but some of these guys need a wake-up call some way, somehow. And you need leadership. And the only reason I say that is because I know we want to talk about something here this segment too, about a former player here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I know the language barrier is there with Jose Ramirez, but you know what he does? He leads by example. And that's the big thing. He might not be able to speak fluent English, and that's okay. But he leads by example with how he plays because he's your top player. He's paid the most on your entire team, and he plays every single game like it's his last game. He hustles out of the box, and when he's not there right now, Mitch, I don't know who you turn to lean on.
I mean, yeah, I still think the team is going to be, they're trying to track a lot of their young guys because they're asking a lot of their young guys, even compared to last year. Arias and Brennan I would say, are the ones that are really kind of being eyed on in terms of the lineup. And then for pitching, you have Allen, you have Battenfield, you have Bybee. I mean, eventually those guys, you can't shoulder too many innings on them because otherwise they're going to completely flame themselves out. So
and teams will catch up to them.
Because it's your first year. It's your first year doing this whole
limited film
thing. That being said, I would be curious to see if this continues to keep going the path that it's going. If the team decides to make a move that involves the veterans of its pitching staff, not saying you have to trade Shane Bieber, not saying you have to immediately deal him and get rid of your 2020 Cy Young Award winner. I'm more so curious if they want to move on from a veteran guy like a Cal Quantrill, like maybe if Zach Plesac gets back in the mix sometime this season. Savali in there as well. If you want to keep these younger arms like Logan Allen, like your Bybees, like your Battenfields, because we'll eventually see in the next few months who's going to really stick compared to guys who are just kind of, they've been up here and they haven't been performing as well, and then they'll eventually get sent down or be dealt. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping that this is just a case of a rough start. You're not firing all cylinders right now, and if you get some stuff in order, you can take on some of these teams in your own division. You can take on some of these teams. I could see them performing well against the Mets here coming up soon. The Mets haven't been a great team so far, and they have their own issues as well. Speaking of the Mets, there was a very interesting video that you and I actually sent each other on accident on Twitter this week. This is from Foul Territory, and Jason Kipnis was on this show talking with the guys about I didn't watch the whole thing, so I'm guessing it's about his days in Cleveland, obviously, former all-star infielder here. And they got to talking about the Mets, and Jason Kipnis made these comments regarding the leadership of the Mets, or to him, lack thereof. And one player was brought up to Kipnis, a former teammate of his.
All those veterans and no leadership. Ooh. Well, you played with Lindor. Is he a leader? I'm going to repeat it again. All those veterans and no leadership. If everybody's a veteran there, you're kind of just under the assumption that everybody's taking care of their business and going about the things the right way. But you kind of need someone to be those bumper pins kind of on each side with people start getting out of line a little bit. It helps keep people in order and in track and focus on the same thing. Everybody gets a little comfortable because there's all veterans and you don't really have to worry about what you're doing because like you can do no wrong. Kind of forget that little being on edge when you're a young guy and you're like, oh, I don't know if a veteran saw me or I shouldn't be doing this. You lose that kind of should I be doing the right thing mentality.
That was, again, on Foul Territory, Jason Kipnis in his Elmo shirt. I don't know. I mean, I kind of know what to make of it, but it's a little surprising coming from him. Maybe it's just Jason being in retirement, being like, hey, I got nothing else to hide now. Let's just put it out there. And we had those sort of possible notions about Lindor towards the end of his tenure in Cleveland, where we kind of had this sort of side eye. But hearing that from a guy who was a definite veteran by the time Lindor came up during the 2015, 16, 17 run is eye-opening. And it's eye-opening because it's something that we were not attuned to compared to now.
It's very eye-opening. And listen, this is not me taking a shot at Francisco Lindor because he's not a Cleveland Indian Guardian anymore. He chased the bag. There's absolutely no shame in that. I'm never going to talk on another person's wallet. He wanted to go get paid. He got paid. Mitch, $341 million, making $31 million a year. But you're right. As his tenure was kind of coming to a close in Cleveland, we started hearing things and, his comments saying, I don't like being called Frankie. I think it's lazy. My name's Francisco. And it's just like, well, wait, what? Why is that bothering you? Why do you have a problem with the media all of a sudden in Cleveland calling you Frankie? The adrenaline rush of the Rajai Davis home run. So to me, that's always bothered me. And look, he's having a down year. He's hitting 229 with 6 home runs, just 39 hits and 170 at bats. But Mitch, it's not just Lindor. Let's be honest here. They went out and they spent a lot of money. And they went out and they got pitchers who, before the season started, I told you they're old. They're old pitchers. Father Time catches up to everybody eventually. And what have we seen from Verlander and Scherzer? Scherzer not having to start getting caught with substance on his hands. Verlander now getting hurt, getting booed off his first start at Citi Field already by the fans. Yes, it's New York. I get it. They do that to everybody. But not just Lindor, but I think Jason Kipnis is right. There are no young guys for the most part playing every day. And if there are, it's just one or two guys. These veterans, or almost all their players are veterans. Starling Marte, Alonso, Lindor. I mean, the list goes on. And the Mets are kind of like in the same spot as the Guardians, Mitch. They both made the playoffs last year. We know the Mets flamed out quickly against the Padres, but they both had a lot of expectations. And they're both kind of in the same spot. And so that's why this upcoming series in New York at Citi Field in Queens is very intriguing, yet also already having me prepared to just be even more disappointed, because the Mets at this very moment are not a good baseball team.
Yeah, and again, I think with Kipnis, it's kind of tricky because he was really only there during the first stages of Lindor's career when he's still in his like ages 23, 24. And, you know, young guys are young guys at that point, and you're not with him for his 3 years with the Mets. It's I don't know. Maybe it's more so a case of just teammates not completely gelling towards the end of a tenure, I would say, rather than when they first got there. But who knows? All right, when we come back, we'll go over what's going on in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals this week after this break. Hey there, folks. This is Mitch Spinell, and I want to give you guys a quick message regarding 988. If you don't know what 988 is, it was created to make it easier to remember how to get help in the event of a mental health or addiction crisis. This is different than a medical, fire, or police emergency where 911 should still be called immediately. 988 connects you with Stark County's Crisis Center, which is equipped to help people in emotional distress or experiencing a mental health or addiction crisis. So remember, 911 for medical, fire, and police emergency help, and 988 for support in overcoming a mental health crisis in Stark County.
Are you trying to increase your speed, quickness, vertical leap, and agility? If so, NST Sports Performance is for you. NST trains athletes ages 5 through pro. NST designs each program specific to the athlete's needs, goals, and sports. For more, visit nstsports.com. Locations in North Canton and New Philadelphia. It's nstsports.com.
It takes a lot of practice to have a winning team. Albin Title has over 100 years of combined experience handling real estate, title, and escrow transactions. They serve Tuscarawas, Stark, Carroll, Harrison counties, and more. So choose Albin Title for your next home refinance, sale, or purchase. They'll get it done quickly and professionally. Contact Albin Title at 330-334-5800 or visit their website albintitle.com. Let them put their experience to work for you.
Hard work is something you're accustomed to. Van Nostrand Young understands that principle. Our access is achieved with organizations like Grange Insurance. Safety and prevention specialists utilize our VanCan assessments process to ensure that you and your colleagues are in the best hands. You want the safest environment for your business, and we can guide you there.
Call Van Nostrand Young Insurance in North Canton at 330-497-1867.
If you're purchasing a new home, the team at Hartzler's Quality Housing is here to help. Take advantage of record low interest rates to make your new home a reality. Locally owned and operated since 1978, Hartzler's Quality Housing has the experience to guide you through the process. You'll find a wide selection of model homes on site to fit any budget. Open 6 days a week just off I-77. You can also visit them online at hartzlers.com. Hartzler's Quality Housing. Quality from start to finish.
You deserve the best. And at Ferris Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, Toyota, that's what you get. We consider you, the customer, to be part of our family. Anybody can make promises, but when you visit Ferris, you get the Ferris deal from a Ferris wheel. So if you're looking for a car, truck, or van, think Ferris.
Wendy's without the Wendy's app is like Nugs without the sauce. Or a Frosty without the fries. Or a hamburger without the fresh beef. No! Level up. Get the app to order ahead, order delivery, earn free food, and get app-exclusive offers. One app, all the Wendy's.
Offer for a limited time at participating Wendy's. Terms apply. App registration required. Fresh beef available in contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
Get out of the dugout and onto the field with help from Velocity Sports. Velocity Sports is a baseball and softball training academy with locations in North Canton and Canal Fulton. Our new Canal Fulton features 10,000 square feet of training space with 6 cages for hitting and pitching and a large commercial weight room. Velocity Sports will sharpen your skills and get you in the starting lineup. For more info, go to velosportsohio.com.
Turning 65 soon or already on Medicare? Hummel Group can help you explore your options and find a plan that fits your unique healthcare needs and budget. Our experienced agents provide personalized advice and help you compare plans from top insurance carriers for free. We're here to help you find the Medicare plan that's right for you. Visit HummelHelps.com or call 800-860-1060 to speak to an agent about Medicare. Don't just get insurance, get Hummel.
Back at it here on the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. We're talking basketball now as we go into the start of conference finals week, but we had some drama leading into the first of the conference finals games this week, Mitch. It was the annual NBA draft lottery, which I think is one of the most underrated sports broadcasts of the year. I'm a person who actually enjoys watching it, not so much for the banter between the broadcasters and just seeing, who's representing the teams, but seeing those 14 worst NBA teams get picked apart in the pool of who's going to be getting the number 1 overall selection.
I can agree with you there. I was going to say, as a whole, sometimes I get slightly annoyed because I think they make a big deal of who's representing what team and all that jazz and whatever it is and the banter back and forth. But I will agree, the suspense of who's coming up next when that envelope is picked up and what team is going to get lucky and what team is getting screwed over here after trying to tank, that is a lot of fun. I will give you that.
And we saw the team that will be in the mix to get what is assuming the number 1 overall prospect, which is Victor Wembanyama, and it will be and this is my favorite stat, for the 3rd time since 1987, the San Antonio Spurs will get the top overall pick. They won the lottery on Tuesday night. It was a good night for San Antonio fans, especially because the last time they had the number 1 pick in the draft, the last 2 times, 1987, they picked David Robinson out of Navy. 1997, they took Tim Duncan out of Wake Forest. Both those picks worked out very well and both led to postseason success, award success, wins, obviously. I mean, Tim Duncan, you could argue, got David Robinson over the hill to that championship. And now the Spurs are one of the most recognized, celebrated franchises in the NBA. Who would have thought? But now it looks like Greg Popovich's coaching career may be going on for a few more years than it might have been had San Antonio not picked up a prospect like Wembanyama.
That is very true. And I was assuming that would probably be the case. And the NBA tried to get rid of tanking altogether, Mitch. Obviously, it used to be if you had the worst overall record, you had the best percentage chance of landing the number 1 pick. Now the 3 worst records all have 14% chance. And then it goes in all the way down to the 14th worst team. It was the Rockets, the Pistons, and the Spurs that had a 14% chance.
Yes.
Victor Wembanyama, Mitch, is a very highly touted prospect, and for good reason, because from what we've seen from him overseas, it's something we are more than likely have not seen before and probably won't see again. A 7'5" player who can shoot, dribble, and play in the post. And the viral highlight of him shooting a 3-point shot and then tipping it back in off the miss, taking 1 step in from the 3-point line, is absolutely just doesn't make any sense whatsoever when you think about the human body and capabilities. My biggest thing was I was just hoping the Detroit Pistons did not get the number 1 pick, because with the Cavaliers having the bigs we have and Mobley being there, I did not want to have to face a team like the Pistons 4 times throughout the regular season and then potentially in the playoffs. After that, it was, okay, keep them out of Detroit. Can we keep them out of the East? And I got nervous as the final 2 teams were there, Mitch, the Hornets and the Spurs. I was nervous it was going to be Charlotte, but lo and behold, it's the San Antonio Spurs who get the number 1 pick. The Pistons, after winning, what was it, 14 games this year. No, maybe a little bit more. Get the 5th pick in the draft. And the Rockets also lose out 2. And so it's the Hornets getting the number 2 pick, the Blazers getting the 3rd pick. Selfishly, I was kind of hoping he'd go to Portland to be with Damian Lillard. I thought that would have been fun, but just goes to show you, just because you tank does not always mean success. And we saw as Cavaliers fans, Mitch, even when you don't have the worst record, you still might be able to land the number 1 pick.
Oh, for sure.
It is fun. It's not set in stone, but it's expected to be Wembanyama number 1. So realistically, as some people always said in the NFL draft, the draft starts at 2. Who are the Hornets going to take? And there's a number of good prospects. Brandon Miller from Alabama. There's the brothers from the, I don't even know if it's the G League teams or whatever it is. There's a number of prospects coming out that are very solid that should help these franchises turn it around a little bit or maybe significantly. Unless the Spurs just completely shock the world, literally shock the world, because I don't know if you saw, Spurs fans have put down, I think they said over 2,500 people have put down money for season ticket deposits within the first 24 hours after the Spurs won the lottery. The draft starts at 2. We'll see what happens there, but I'm excited to see what Wembanyama can do, Mitch, with what you and I both think is one of the top 3 coaches still in the NBA. So to get coached by one of the all-time greats, at least in our lifetime, immediately, really should help speed up his potential coming from France over here to the National Basketball Association.
No, he is the best coach in the NBA, and I'm very curious as to see. I thought you were going to say like Spurs fans are putting down bets for if the Spurs are going to trade the number 1 pick to some other team, but I don't know any team that really has a legitimate package that they could send the Spurs. Even with this whole Portland thing, I just sent you this on Twitter. This has to be him responding to a fan, because it was this fan who says, quote, muting all of you that are undervaluing the Blazers number 3 pick and insisting on trading Dame. What is wrong with you all? You think we suffered this long to go out like that? Goodbye. And then Damian Lillard, 42 minutes ago, said, if the fans want to trade me, start the petition and send it in. That's got to just be him. That's got to be him flexing his Twitter fingers a little bit. I can't see Portland, sending the 3 pick and Dame and probably the rest of the team to San Antonio in exchange for Wembanyama. That wouldn't make sense.
I can't see the Spurs giving it up either, because as great as Dame is, Mitch, obviously on the NBA 75, I think he is. I think he kind of is in the Donovan Mitchell range of, he's on the West Coast, so half the league doesn't get to see how special he truly is, because half the time he's tipping off when people are in bed. I don't think there's any way the Spurs would trade the number 1 pick for Dame Lillard and the 3rd pick. You heard Draymond Green say he thinks there's probably only 15 players in the NBA that would not get traded right now for the number 1 pick to select Wembanyama. And that's high praise for somebody coming into the NBA this young already. That's a debate we can have another time here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, but let's get into this talk where we were initially going to start off with, which was the conference finals starts. We have Heat Celtics in the conference finals. We have in the East. We have Nuggets Lakers in the West. I want to start off in the East because last night didn't expect Celtics to drop that game. I thought when that team got off in the second quarter, I thought, oh boy, here we go. It's the same thing as was with Philadelphia, but Philadelphia, they had Jimmy Butler at one point. They don't have him now. Miami had Jimmy, and playoff Jimmy does what playoff Jimmy does. It was an unbelievable performance from him last night. Once again, this Heat squad was number 8. They lost the play-in to Atlanta, and they had to come back and beat Chicago, and then they did what they had to do throughout the regular postseason. Now you steal a game in Boston. That's a statement victory, especially as you have the advantage now going back to Miami after game 2. But this Heat squad is, I wouldn't say shockingly, but a number of their guys, that's a big point, is a lot of fans are now saying like, oh, look how many undrafted players the Heat have on their team. A lot of their guys stepping up in ways that are pretty big. I mean, I saw a number of shots from Adebayo last night who did some good things. I saw Kyle Lowry look like Toronto era Kyle Lowry again. Duncan Robinson had a couple of shots there. Max Struss had some shots on the 3-point line. Very interesting dynamic Miami has going in this postseason that I don't think has been talked about enough.
You're absolutely right. I don't think a lot of people have given the Heat credit enough, because you look at this team, Mitch. Everybody right now is familiar with Jimmy Butler, if you weren't before, as he's gotten the nickname Hemi Butler. You look at Kevin Love. People know who Kevin Love is, but we also know he's at the tail end of his career. We know who Adebayo is, but after that, kind of look at that team and you go, okay, I remember Kyle Lowry. He won a championship with Toronto.
Yep.
They have a number of guys stepping up. Martin, Strus, Vincent. I mean, even Love with the 8 points last night stepping up. That's huge considering they only won by 7. But Mitch, I'm not going to lie. I went to bed after the third quarter started because I didn't like how Miami was playing. To me, I thought, this is probably what I expected. This is going to be a feel out process. They'll make their adjustments. But I made the mistake because I forgot Jimmy Butler does Jimmy Butler things, and he turned it on. He scored. He played lockdown defense on Jason Tatum. When Jason Tatum was guarded by Jimmy Butler last night, Mitch, 41 plays compared to 36 other plays from other Heat members. He averaged less than a point. It was 0.88, while he averaged almost 2 points guarded by other players. His efficiency went way down when guarded by Jimmy Butler. Butler is a two-way player, and he's so good on both ends, and he's a leader. And Spoelstra figured something out to get this team going and made an adjustment, much like another team we're going to talk about here later, in the second half. And all of a sudden, the Heat outscore the Celtics 46-25 in the third, and then obviously the Celtics outscoring by 5 in the fourth. But Mitch, 19 points more than the Celtics in the third quarter alone. That was a huge difference, and Jimmy Butler's a big reason. This Heat team isn't the most flashy, isn't the most sexy, isn't the most fun team to watch, but they play their style of basketball. And it seems when they impose their will and make the other team play their style of basketball, the other teams so far, Mitch, have not found much success against it.
No, and I was really disappointed by the second half performance of the Celtics, particularly with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, where late in the game, it just kind of had those forced turnovers that Miami was able to take advantage of. And then a couple of really awkward offensive possessions that was like, wait, what are they doing? That's what I thought of Miami, where they were forcing it too much in the first half of the game, to where, guys like Gerald Williams were dominating inside. He didn't do much in the second half. Al Horford had a couple of shots early on, but only finished with 7 points. And it's kind of similar to what happened, I believe, last season, when I think Miami got off to the hot start in game 1 and were able to have an amazing third quarter to pull off a victory. So I'm curious as to what Boston will be able, how they'll be able to respond in game 2. We've been seeing this dynamic through a couple of playoff series. Saw it in the Cavs-Knicks series, where you win game 2, but then they win the rest of the way. Miami did a similar thing to the Knicks, even though the Knicks took game 5. But if Miami wins one of these next 2, I think that could be it, depending on how the games go. If they're 2 close games, Boston's still in the mix, even if they're down 2-1. But if Miami comes out and just rolls over in game 3, that's going to be very hard for this Celtics core with a rookie coach to overcome.
Yeah, and I think last night, Mitch, we're not Celtics fans, not really in the Celtics Twitter game, but one thing that a lot of people were confused about was Peyton Pritchard. Played 12 minutes last night, came in the first quarter. He barely played the last series against the Sixers, and people were already questioning, why is he out there? This is a guy that hasn't played a whole lot, and it did not work out in the favor of the Celtics. He only took 2 shots. He was 0 for 2, had 1 assist. He was a -3 on the floor. But right now, Eric Spoelstra is pushing the right buttons. I mean, Cody Zeller did not score last night. He played 9 minutes, but he still came in and gave you effort, 3 rebounds, 2 fouls. But other than that, he's still coming off the bench and playing good minutes. But Kyle Lowry, Mitch, to me, besides Jimmy Butler, there was that 1 shot in the first half last night Kyle Lowry took.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is the Kyle Lowry from like 2015 Kyle Lowry, the one that you were kind of afraid of could get going. He looked good. And he had 15 off the bench. The Heat bench had 30 bench points last night, as did the Celtics bench, 19 from Brogdon, 11 from Derek White. But yeah, Jaylen Brown, 10 of 21 shooting. Not ideal for the Celtics.
It's not. He had a couple of and ones in that second half where I thought, okay, it's going to keep going. And then just nothing the rest of the way. And you mentioned Pritchard. I legitimately thought it's because Smart got hurt, because Marcus Smart got injured. Now, and when I saw that he was in, I'm like, wait, why Why was there so much time dedicated to him? I don't know for sure, but I don't expect him to be in the rest of the series much.
One note I want to make. Marcus Smart, Mitch, is a very good rebounding guard. He typically in the playoffs so far is averaging, I believe, 4.5, 5 rebounds, but for a guard of his size, pretty good. The Heat limited him to 1 rebound last night. All the extra possessions you saw him, get the Celtics in that series against the Sixers, there was none of that last night. Really, the Heat just dominated on the boards last night. They had 35 rebounds. The Celtics had 34, but we know the Celtics are a team that lives off getting their own misses. And so holding Marcus Smart to 1 rebound after what we've seen him be able to do, that itself, Mitch, is very impressive.
Yeah, I first of all, I got mixed up Gerald Williams with Robert Williams. Okay. That's the big guy. But I was going to say with the rebounding, first of all, Miami, Adebayo did what he had to do. Kevin Love did what he had to do. And even Butler got around 5 rebounds for that game. So, but with Boston, Tatum and Brown can't be your top 2 rebounders. You have to have Horford in that mix. You have to have Williams in there as well. I could even see, Brogdon and White didn't have much rebounding off of the bench, which the Celtics only ran 8 players overall. So I don't know. You can't have Tatum and Brown as your top 2 rebounders in this series if you want to be able to crash the boards enough with Miami, who can play pretty physical. So we have that game. Game 1 against the Nuggets and the Lakers. It ended the way I thought it would, but I didn't think the Lakers would stage the comeback that they did. I think you saw Austin Reeves get hot very late in the contest. Anthony Davis kind of did what he had to do. LeBron James didn't quite have his best game, so wasn't able to quite get there. But I believe it was one possession in particular where it was a scrap for the ball on the floor on the Lakers side. The ball is picked up. Denver gets into a 2-on-1, and Murray breaks away for the dunk to where I thought this game is over. This game is done.
Yeah.
Denver did what it had to do. That would have been an all-time collapse that I don't know if they would have been able to recover from in the series. But now that they did win and go up 1-0, I expect them to win game 2. When they go to Los Angeles, I think it could be very different. I expect the series to go 6 games. If Los Angeles gets hot here for a couple of contests, and maybe they can steal one, but I still think that Denver wins. Granted, that's a tough one too, because Denver winning game 6 on the road. I think I'm confident they can do that. I'm going to say Denver gets in 6.
I originally had said between my friends and I'm Lakers in the 6 guy. I think the Lakers can get this. Mm-hmm. With how that game started off, we're going to be able to sweep. It was designed to be an absolute blowout, almost reminiscent of the Sixers and Celtics game 7. The Nuggets could go wrong. Nikola Jokic, for anybody out there that likes to pay attention to stats or does gamble, points, rebounds, and assists is a combo you look at. He had 42 of the 3 combo at halftime. Between his points, rebound, Mitch, his stat line at halftime could have been a career night for most guys in the NBA. Nikola Jokic right now not only is on a mission to get to the NBA Finals, but is on a mission to remind everybody out there that did not vote for him for MVP that he is the MVP. And I don't do this often. I have a hard time thinking that a guy who can't have the ball in his hands every single time can be the best player in the world. I don't think it's a debate. I think Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA at this very moment. He has proven he's the most valuable player 2 years in a row. This year, what he's doing right now is absurd. But the Lakers found something. Anthony Davis, by the way, as much crap as I've given him, Mitch, he had the most quiet 40-point game I think I've ever seen. Yep. 40 points and 10 rebounds as the primary defender for the first 3.5 quarters or 3 quarters on Nikola Jokic. And it's not his fault Jokic had 34, because what the issue is Davis is the primary defender on Jokic, who is a phenomenal passer. He's also the help side defender on guys coming down the lane or cutting from the backside. It's hard to try to guard 2 guys like that at once. Davis had 2 blocks, still got 10 rebounds. But when the Lakers put Rui Hachimura on Jokic in the 4th quarter, Jokic struggled.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a recipe the Lakers can have for the rest of the series, but it's something to keep your eye on ahead of game 2. Because we know last series against the Warriors, after they beat the Grizzlies, Hachimura played a big factor in beating the Grizzlies. He just wasn't getting it done against the Warriors. Lonnie Walker arrives, and they made that switch, and Lonnie Walker had the game 4 win, and the game 4 performance of 15 in the fourth. That's how they won. And he got played the other night, but it was Hachimura who got called upon late that came in 17 points off the bench in 28 minutes. He played great defense on Jokic. Now we'll wait to see, do the Lakers switch up the starting lineup? Do they try the same thing first to see if they can kind of stop the Nuggets? 132 to 126. That game was phenomenal. The Lakers getting back into it was phenomenal. And you look back at 2 plays, Mitch. The 1-3 that Jokic kind of threw up as Anthony Davis was all over him at the buzzer, and Davis looked at him and just smiled like, are you kidding me? That ended up being a huge deciding factor. The Nuggets could do no wrong the other night. The other 3 was Jeff Green hitting his only basket of the game in the corner. And listen, the Lakers shot 54% from the floor, or the Nuggets shot 55% from the floor. Yeah, they both almost shot 55%. The Nuggets hit 15 threes, the Lakers 11.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the difference right there. Foul shooting was pretty even. Lakers 26 attempts, Nuggets 22. This series, Mitch, could go 7. It could end in 5. It could go 6. I don't know. It depends on what I see in game 2 tonight. But the comeback I saw in the Lakers, I truly believe the Lakers will come out tonight and actually win game 2, because I think although they lost, they found something and can carry that over. The only way they don't is if they're totally gassed from playing in that high altitude in Denver.
I think Denver had the advantage too of spreading out scoring and starting lineup, because not only do you have Jokic and Murray performing well, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, of all names, 21 points, Michael Porter, 15 points, Aaron Gordon to 12, even Bruce Brown, the quiet 16 points off the bench, 6 of 11 shooting. So I don't know. Who do you guys think will win game 2? Comment below, and be sure to, send it to us one on Spotify. And I mean, that's pretty much it for this episode. We'll be back next week, talk about what's going on in this series, obviously, and what's going on in the rest of the sports world. Before we sign off, Mitch, what's our fact of the day?
Wearing headphones for just an hour will increase the bacteria in your ear by 700 times. Kind of crazy, kind of disgusting, but at the same time, I like music. I like headphones, so I'm not going to stop. But also a reminder to everybody out there, big time sports game of the week tonight, 5 p.m. Dover at Massillon sectional championship game. That should be a thriller. Can't wait to recap that next week with you, Mitch.
No doubt. We'll be back here next week. Thank you guys for listening or watching the Big Time Sports Podcast Show.